Hello YouTube, the Hunter here has returned with a video that needs to be made. Nowadays you've seen companies like CNN and other news sorts that will not apologize for their mistakes, won't even make an effort to fix it. Their word has become meaningless to me. And because of my mistakes in my very first video, I want to fix them now, so that none of you see me the same way. In my original video, I have made several errors and did not really fully understand what I was talking about. I'll admit that now, and I'll admit that I had to play through the game and watch a few other people play through it to realize I've made a big mistake. I hope you all can forgive me and maybe even learn something new along with me. And thank you all very much for watching this video. Let's get started in the same order that we did in the first video. When I originally talked about the virus, I said that we had no idea of where it came from, how it spread, nor what it is exactly. All of them are false, with one or two to a certain degree. The origins of the virus comes from the polar regions, mainly the South Pole. Humanity's there due to the discovery of abundance of minerals, valuable minerals that will help within the human competitive market. Countries being competitive ended up causing an overmining of the polar regions, and not only the discovery of more minerals and all that good stuff, but also the virus, the valley after the hill. This virus first infected those who discovered it, who then brought it back over when they came home and continued the further spreading of this dormant virus, which, according to Kay's journal, which you find after returning to Puro and waking him up, then having to head back around to find a computer to get permission to pass on. You also find his journal in the table next to it. Dr. K details a lot of the different things that's been going on, including about when he transformed, a bit about the riots, and all the different things. And I'll be referencing it several times throughout this video. Another piece of documentation that I used is when you first get through the pond, I guess, of water, after you first enter the what I call wet rooms. Pearl has to cross it too and then stays behind the railing. But when you head on left and activate the power, you'll notice that there's a wet newspaper that talks about it, how they found minerals within the polar regions, and that would incentivize them going there. But they didn't at the time understand the darkness that lurked under it and in between. This super virus, some kind of strand of the flu, for a few papers mentioned it as like a flu virus. It spreads mainly through contact, by touch, and by body fluids, though there are other ways that they could not figure out how. This virus is one dangerous thing. 60% of the human population has been infected with this virus when it was first detected. And this started to raise an alarm. They had to start finding a cure for this or finding an effective counter. And well, sometime, someplace, some moron activated the virus and began the plague. By the time they found the latex to be an effective treatment to the virus, and that they can actually genetically modify human DNA, the other side of the world from where the tower was, gone, dead, dark, and destroyed. There is nothing left over there. And now all it is these scientists here on this side, in this town, in this facility, funded by the rich, to be able to continue on the research, take in volunteers, and if need be, victims of kidnapping, in order to be able to continue on the research and find this cure. Credit to Akai Azul, who actually quoted on my first video about it, that the virus needs receptor cells, or receptors on the cells to infect them. And that actually kind of surprised me. I thought viruses normally attach themselves to cells and then begin infecting the rest. But hey, you learn something new every day. Thank you. This facility that you're found in and that you wake up in was made around the same time that the town surrounding it was made. And it surprised me. When I learned that, it really did surprise me. I didn't think that it would do that, that they would do that, but it was repurposed to my belief around the epidemic, the plague. The facility was made to study the virus and to find effective countermeasures, which soon would be the latex. This facility has many different floors and several ventilation pipes connecting all of the different floors together, which makes things easier for the latex to travel around in. As a matter of fact, Puro uses the ventilation system, my apologies, to roam around the entire facility and keep up with you. Now, the facility is split into several different stories with each their own. First things first is the top floor. That is where the kidnapped victims are held in capsules, preservation capsules, to be awakened and to be tested on, mainly for the virus and for these latex to see if it works and to continue further research. As you start going through some of the layers, you'll notice that it's starting to split into territory, with mainly the black latex having more of the upper floors and a few areas on the lower, and the white latex mainly having the lower floors and bits and pieces of the upper floors, with the vent pipes just being a great travel method throughout. This facility has several different equipment to detect, study, and learn about the virus. They even, as Dr. Kane mentioned in the true ending, that they created a bio-robot, quote-unquote. And don't take my word for it, you're going to have to take a look for it yourself, because I don't remember the full name he used for it. I just call it the bio-robot. It basically simulates a human form to study the virus, which is then what he gives to Puro in the true ending. As I said, spoilers. So, Azul, if you were wondering how he got that and how all that happened, I think he mainly used the other bodies and other humans that volunteered or were kidnapped in order to create this sort of human robot ordeal. Cyborg, but pretty loosely. Anywho, back to the main topic. The facility has several different balconies, some with plants and some just purely for the stairs and for the view. Some of the latex can fly, and they mainly try to stick around areas where they can use that ability in the tower, in this facility, this tower. For example, in one of the balconies, you have to push around a bunch of crates. There's a black latex bird flying around. Now, you'd think it wouldn't mess with you, but if you're not careful, it'll take you in and of itself. In which I'll have to get back to that later. Moving on to the kidnapping and the riots, well, volunteers were starting to run out as the virus started to take more lives. Soon, people were beginning to be desperate, and when they heard about the volunteers and how the scientists say they're getting close to a vaccine, they just couldn't hold on any longer. They became impatient and wanted to find that cure. This facility is, as I said before, sealed to only important figures. Only they could come in and leave upon their own terms, not the common folk. And due to their desperation to try to find the vaccine, the townsfolk had to fight their way into the tower, and they began tearing the place up, trying to find the vaccine. They destroyed many of the equipment, caused many different damages and power outages, cut wires, destroyed pipes that held water, and soon unleashed the latex containers and the fail-safes to contain it. All of these latex just failed. The riots, people were killing each other. Many fell that day. The scientists soon passed away because of these riots. These riots killed them, as well as several of the guards, and things just got horrible. And well, things were not going to go well from there. I believe the kidnapping happened a little bit before, during it, because volunteers would have stopped and they could no longer get anybody. But even then, after the riots, the whole place was just in shambles. It was no good at all. I think that they also spread into the town, and when they couldn't get anything, they ended up turning on each other and putting it all to the sword, and the town became destroyed. In Kay's journal, he mentions that during the riot, he transformed himself and hid. And that soon he came out of the hiding place he was at and explored the facility. It was just an utter ruin. There was nothing left. Well, almost nothing left. And that Colin was probably kidnapped around the time of the riots and then placed in that preservation capsule. Again, we don't know how many died. That's still unknown. But what we do know is that after the riots, things were not going to go well. The virus came and started wiping out more of the town. There were a few inside the facility that were being treated for their wounds, but in the end, even they were used for the latex, or that they succumbed to the latex, one or the other. And soon there was only Dr. K and the remaining sleeping, preserved, kidnapped victims. Those were all that were left of any sort of human semblance inside that facility. Lastly, I want to talk about the latex in Kay's drug. As the black latex were created first. That is well known. Perot said that the white latex were made later when they realized that the black latex are failed samples. Their goal is to transform the human body and convert the DNA into animal DNA. While they studied the animals, they started taking some of the genetics of the animals and placing it into the latex samples, soon developing minds of their own, and also within them an urge, a natural instinct to take a host. The black latex were first, taking forms of bats, wolves, and such like. Even Pearl mentions that he is a latex with wolf DNA. So, when they decided to test it on subjects, well, things are not going well. Yes, the subjects would be turned into the latex, but they would lose their minds to the latex and would no longer remember themselves. The latex actually feed off of the host. It's a parasitic thing. When it attaches to you, it begins taking some of your energy, sometimes taking parts of your body for energy.
so it can sustain itself, and soon the host would fall and die inside of the latex. The scientists, their main goal was to change the human DNA through this latex in order to combat the virus. They didn't want them to lose their minds as well, so they were considered failed samples. Several documents note that even though these latex are just the beginning, they showed a great ability to gain intelligence, and rapidly so. Several notes say that they're gathering intelligence rapidly, and they're becoming more intelligent rapidly. One note said that he reported it up to the superiors, but all they said was that they're failed samples and that we're going to clean them up later. Incompetent authority, people. Applause for them. Now, when they studied it, they actually did find out that when the latex were ready to begin anew, they would solidify themselves into crystals that would soon spread out into new forms, their form of reproduction. And any of them can do it. That's why they don't really need to have genders or sex at all. It doesn't matter. And then they begin anew and they keep on going. The little cubs of black latex cannot take you, and I find that kind of odd. Like I mentioned before, if that black bird can take you, but the little ones can't, I'm just going to call inconsistency there, but whatever. The white latex came after the black latex, as mentioned before several times, but the white latex has a strange ability to not only simulate animal life, but plant life. And even what I call monuments, or stone monuments. You can see that when you first enter the white latex territories, those big old rectangular-ish monuments that when you run into them, they attach little wristbands or something around you and have a little pipe or tube connecting to your navel to pump you full of what it is in order to convert you, and it will not let go until the conversion is complete. That's one way to do it. Perot witnessed that and told you about it because he saw it himself, and it was with other animals too. It's also mentioning in that facility they contained the animals and plants as well, which they used to study. And I didn't really quite mention that before because I thought it was a no-brainer, but I'll leave it here as a note just in case. The white latex can actually consume and defeat the black latex. Perot mentions at one point if you talk to him, excuse me, I had a burp. But if you talk to Perot at one point, he'll say that the white latex can consume the crystal, destroy his mask, and generally just eat the others. The other black latex, an effective countermeasure. But the white latex were not enough, though they were closer. It's like the black latex were a start. They had an idea, and here's the original idea, and here's some of the side effects. Now let's see if we can create that and be able to convert a few things to be able to continue to keep the host's mind. The white latex sort of failed at that route too, but they were closer. And soon from that, they managed to figure out how to do it, and K's drug became a thing. They did a good job. They really did a good job. They did a great job at it. And then, like I said, K had the drug and used it on himself during the riots. And that is good. That means they have found a cure. And I think he was going to tell the elite that they found the way to combat the virus. But because of the riots, several of the systems malfunctioned. And thus power was slowly dying out. and I think it was rusted wires or corroded wires that caused the facility to go on shutdown because of the lack of power. But whatever it took, the outside power failed and the backup generator did not activate. And so, as a failsafe, the capsules were opened and you were awakened. It's just crazy to think about all this. I mean, in a game, it's like cool, it's something new, but it is frightening in real life. If something like that does happen and this kind of things happen, it's frightening. It really is frightening to think about. And now, I want to give you my more modified and more updated version of the story. Sometime in the future, humanity will soon run out of the resources that they use to continue their own way of life. And when that does, precious minerals will soon disappear. And so competition to find these minerals and then exploit them will become a priority for all of the nations, for all the countries, for everyone in the world. They send people out to explore, find these minerals, and bring them back. After some time, they come back with news that there is a bountiful amount of them inside of the polar regions, mainly the South Pole. The companies, well, the nations, and through them the companies, they all begin to excite themselves. They hype themselves up and start sending mining tools, miners, mining machines, all the way out there to excavate all of the minerals that they can grab. It's a free-for-all there. Whatever you grab is what you have, and probably what you can steal from your opponents. It's just whoever can get the most has the most and can last longer. Everybody is starting to get some minerals, and everybody is starting to have everything get kicked up again. The economy is starting to boost and go back to normal. It seems all in well. Of course, with a hill comes the valley afterwards. People start showing unusual signs of paling, exhaustion, weakness. And they soon discovered what would become a flu supervirus. This supervirus has spread from those who came in the competition to receive the minerals, spread it not only amongst themselves at the polar regions, but soon back home as well. Plants, animals, and humans almost all have this. 60% of the human population is now infected with this. They raise an alert to all of the nations, all of the countries, and research begins to work and find out what this virus does, and if possible, cures or countermeasures. It takes them a long time, and soon, somewhere, some moron, somehow, at some time, activates this super virus to start its murder rampage. This plague begins taking lives by tens, by hundreds, by thousands, by millions soon. This facility on this one place is where the latex soon begins. They discovered that they can easily cure all of this plague within animals. And so they figured the only way to actually solve this, the only way to save humanity, is by helping them lose their human forms and become animal like. Volunteer after volunteer is sacrificed to try to find this cure from the latex. The wealthy begin making their own shelter and keep on funding this facility so that way they can continue to find the cure and to give it to themselves. Now, mind you, only certain people, important figures, may access this facility. Only the higher-ups and volunteers can access it. Anyone else, it's off limits. It's an important place that does not need to be disturbed. They begin running tests after test after test after test. This is becoming infuriating because of how long it's taking. They say they have some semblance of a vaccine, but they still need more time. And soon this town is affected by it. The other side of the world. Done, dark, dead, and destroyed. The people in this town, like I said, they're soon affected. They soon start dying themselves. This research facility soon becomes more and more of a bigger target. And soon self-restraint amongst the townsfolk is lost. They can no longer wait. It has become too desperate. It's now a much more desperate and despairing time, for they all will not live. They rampage throughout the facility, leaving no stone unturned in trying to find the cure, trying to find this vaccine that they have been listening to, that's been propelled all throughout the town and purported. They can't find it. They get through the entrance, and as they start partly destroying the facility, they have to fight against the scientists, the guards, and anyone else there, including the kidnappers. In this, Dr. K, one of the scientists, finds the cure and injects himself with it. He then hides himself and waits for this riot to subside. He listens to the destruction of the tower, the snapping of wires, the creaking and breaking of boards, equipment, pipes, and soon glass. Boxes are let out and destroyed, and soon the latex are set free. They soon engage in this fight, taking no sides but their own and taking as many as they can. The riot's soon over. The town is collateral damage. The facility is in ruin to some degree, but still functioning. No one is left. No one but Dr. K, the latex, and all who are left in the capsules. Dr. K comes out of his hiding spot, fully transformed, and begins taking a look around. He soon finds out that he's the only one left, and also begins to study himself. He finds himself in the study chambers, where victims would be sent to, and then a latex attack them. It's a study room with impenetrable glass. He takes pictures of himself with a nearby camera, trying to see all of these things and keep record of his progress. He begins roaming the facility, seeing all that has changed. The latex on the loose. Water dripping from the broken pipes in the ceiling and on the sides. It begins filling up several of the floors, well, several of the rooms, my apologies, and soon aquatic formed latex begins to roam around. He sees the latex soon create little territories for themselves, places where they will stay and continue to live, with or without their hosts. The only place he did not check was upstairs, the capsules. He soon began to make repairs and try to establish a connection with the shelter. I believe he gives the report of the damage and the destruction of the tower to the shelter. A faint signal is left that he can connect with them. He talks with them, saying that the facility is weak and it needs a bit more funding and more repairs. If there's any one of them that can send help, please send it. They can't do anything. They're stuck in a shelter. If they leave, they will die. Soon power malfunctions and is lost. Dr. K prepares himself and heads out to go and repair the damage and kickstart power. He starts by the wires, which have been corroded and rusted. Bad wires need to be replaced and fixed. He's lucky that he has some knowledge in what to do and manages to start working on it. He gets back to his office to find that one of the capsules that has originally been shut is now opened, and someone is walking around this facility. Colin, the last human inside of the capsule that will ever be awakened from this power outage, wakes up to light from the ceiling blinding him. His eyes soon adjust and begins exploring not only the room, but the thing that just charged him. A latex blob. He soon uses the clues and notes around the facility to make his way towards Puro, a black latex wolf, having to fight through not only a crystal dragon with broken and fragmented English, and running through the nest even, but also through a tail that chased him, and all of the latex that roam around nearby the library. He befriends Puro and learns of the code that will allow him to push forward. His way is blocked and he is chased by the tail again. He escapes not just the tail, but a suit-like latex, and returns to Puro, who helps him find a way out. When Colin arrives in the vent system, Puro invites him over to his little den. Puro opens up to him about him being alone and that there's nothing left and that he may need a host soon, but that he cannot escape the facility and hopes that Colin will. A bond is starting to form with them. Colin heads into the vent pipe in order to find a way to escape the facility through another means. He cannot go one way, so he'll head another. He gets chased by a cheetah and escapes the vent pipe. Puro continues to follow him through the vents, and soon Colin hits the gas room. a room filled with gas-like latex where if you breathe in too much, you will get turned. Not only does Colin have to deal with that, but soon a young latex, a little pup, begins to follow him. Afraid, Colin charges out and manages to get into a safe zone where Puro has the little pup leave. Colin soon arrives in what I call the wet zone, where all of the aquatic latex lie. He and Puro travel through, and Colin faces against a shark and a squid dog, soon to activate the power. Colin learns how long he's been out, and how long this facility has been, well, in bad shape. He soon heads into the next room and is just lost in thought as he walks. Soon Puro comes to him and begins to talk to him. Colin is now cut off from his two ways out. If you developed a good enough relationship, Puro will abandon his natural instincts and help you. But if you did not, you will get the betrayed ending, where Puro will break his promise and assimilate you. You travel on and soon find the white latex forest, where Puro is not very adamant nor able to help you or walk through. You both help each other and develop more of a relationship together. You find Dr. K, who surprises you, knocks you out, and sets you inside of this study room. With the help of a little robot, you escape and go to find Puro. If you did not develop enough of a relationship with him, Dr. K will still be up and Puro will be dead, and you will get the bad ending. But if you developed enough of a relationship, both of them will be knocked on the ground and Puro will soon awaken, surprising you. You continue your escape and try to get out as soon as possible. In the dark of the night, you manage to get towards the bottom floors. You pass through the white latex territory, in which the latex try to surround you, but Puro launches you over them and you manage to escape. This happens twice. And then in the second room, the dark latex room, you have to slip and slide and quickly run through all of the different areas and puzzles in order to escape from being turned by the crystals. On the second slip and slide puzzle, you are stuck and Puro comes to lift you and bring you to the exit. After you're done with the sensitive patches of the ground that spawn crystals, you finally begin to make it to the receptionist desk. When you get there, you are both excited about leaving, but Dr. K appears from a door behind the receptionist desk and begs you to stop and consider all that you know. He begins to tell you about what happened, describing as best he can. Puro begins to disagree, saying, "We've already came this far, there's nothing you can do to stop us." And soon it is up to you to decide what to do. If you decide to stay, you will stay with Dr. K, and Puro will leave, broken-hearted. And you will never leave, but you will stay with Dr. K, who will care for you. If you decide to leave, you will get an achievement called Termination by Sunset. You leave with Puro, against Dr. K's wishes, who bemoans and mourns the loss of what would be. And soon you die in Puro's arms, unknowing to him. But if you press escape, you will get a compromise. Dr. K will turn you, and this is the ending that is Dragon Snow's dream. You will soon be changed, and you will be able to leave. Thank you all very much for watching, and thank you for understanding.